All right, g'day. Here we are, our usual Saturday night spot, week 11, circa contest, millions, Survivor. I still have two. Gave one away last week, plus already have one through to next week. So we're ahead of the curve here. Scott, what do we got? What are you seeing this week?
Well, before we get there, I want to congratulate Nebraska on winning the bye week. Nice, solid victory out of the Huskers today. And we have a very special guest. We have Gabe here representing Survivor Atlas. Gabe, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's kind of a cloudy, murky day, but I'm feeling good. Just like Adam, I got one through on Thursday night, so I feel like every Saturday where you're already through is like a good day,
Definitely. And I like it when it rains in Vegas like it is today because it's coming down very, very slow and very, very steady. So people at Sam's Town are not getting wiped off the face of the earth like they always do. But with all that, let's get started with this circuit contest. And again, congratulations to the Huskers. The most popular millions pick this week going away is the Rams. You seeing any good information on this one, Adam? How about the Masters? What are they saying?
So I will say something about the millions, Scott. For years and years, I've not given a shit about the millions by this time of the year. Oddly enough, I actually looked at my record a week before last, and I was hitting about 60%. And I went 5-0 last week on my entry number one, which I guess is the first week of the third quarter. And I'm sitting at 64%, 34 and whatever it is, and only 4 behind the leader. So I actually concentrated this week and looked at the games. So I'm sure I've got a 1-4 or 0-5 coming up. But yeah, I've never been in the position I'm in this year with the millions, with actually multiple entries, but the entry number one is the one that's in the best position. But yeah, so while I've just rattled these things off, and usually I'm just picking 5 games and sending them to you by 5 entries, I actually have an interest now. Like, I'm in a position where I have to concentrate. So Rams Seattle, 67% of the money overall is on the Rams. 80% of the master money is there as well. It's a medium to high sort of bet action game. Generally, there was a bit of 2.5 at the beginning, but the Rams money started to come in. There's a little bit on the Seahawks at plus 3.5 as well. But that looks pretty solid there now, where the number is. And yeah, it feels like an obvious one. I think a lot of people are seeing these two teams as really the other two teams in the NFC that are the best. Rams seem to have owned the Seahawks a bit in recent years, which we have a few of those this week. But yeah, I don't believe I used the Rams at all for my entries.
This would be the perfect opportunity for me to name drop, and of course, I'm not going to do that. But this happened to me on Friday at lunch with a very prominent person. He was talking about Survivor and how they were going to make a big change this week about how they predicted or took their picks for this week. And I said, you know what? That's not a good idea. Whatever got you here, you should keep riding that horse. And I had another very prominent person tell me the same thing. So either I'm going to be giving them great information this week or terrible information this week. But I told them, keep riding the same horse. But with that, it seems like we ride the Buffalo Bills every single week, and we've done it again. Number 2 pick on the millions. What's the master money look like on this one?
Yeah, Buffalo's a little bit confusing. You know, they've sort of run into a wall the last few weeks, not often losing 2 in a row. Tampa Bay were flying high and then ran into the Patriots at home last week. But 80% of the money's on Buffalo, 80% of the master money's on Buffalo. It's actually low to medium bet game, so I'm not getting, too driven by what those numbers are. But yeah, it seems like people are just thinking the Buffaloes can't lose 3 in a row. So it's not surprising that it's a high pick, and the money's definitely with them on this one.
Sounds real good. And for third place for this week, we basically have a 3-way tie. So I'm going to call them out just in the order I have them written here. The first one in the 3-way tie for third place in millions is the Minnesota Vikings. What's the master money look like on the Vikings game?
Yeah, everyone's over Minnesota. 81% money overall. 93 of the master money. They bought down to 2. They bought down to the 2.5. Big chunk at 3. On the flip side, there was some money on +3 Chicago, but it's definitely heavy Minnesota Vikings. I did use them a bunch of times. I think maybe in 3 or 4 out of my 5. I was hesitant though because the house is definitely going to need Chicago. So usually I'm not trying to play against the house in these spots as well. But yeah, there's a lot of money on Minnesota this week.
Is that play of the week?
No, because the house needs it. I'm looking for something where the pros are on the opposite side to the Joes. And right now the Joes and the pros are all riding the Vikings as hard as they can.
Okay. Well, let's go to the next one that's tied. That's the Baltimore Ravens. What are you seeing on this game?
So this one, I think it was a little sort of weak betting early on when there was sort of questions about Lamar Jackson, and now that he's gotten through that Thursday, Friday practice, 72% of the money's on the Ravens. It's 97% on Cleveland from the Masters chart, but it's so insignificant it doesn't really count. But that one seems a solid 7.5 now. I did use Cleveland in a couple of mine, so I am against the grain here. But yeah, once it looks secured, I mean, every game he's played this year, I think they've scored in excess of 30 plus points, and just when he's fit and healthy, they're a strong team, and it's Cleveland. I mean, it's not a lot to say there. But those divisional games with the home dog, I don't like messing around with those things with the favorite on the road. So, as I said, I use Cleveland in a few spots. I hope Cleveland win because I imagine they're going to show up in the Survivor a bit. But yeah, right now you can't argue against the plays there.
Gotcha. And then our final millions is the Kansas City Chiefs. What are you seeing on the Kansas City game?
So with this one, I use Denver a lot in my millions contest. I was on with Matt Bostonian versus the Book on our show on Thursday, and he brought up that Mahomes is like 18-1 against the Broncos. So I thought, what the hell? Broncos 5-0 at home this year. Yes, they've had a couple of questionable ones and definitely snuck over the line with that Giants game, which I had in my Survivor. So I remember that one very clearly. But yeah, it's 78% of the money's on Kansas City. I think the contest was 3.5. The game's now a solid 4. I've actually seen some 4.5s pop up. But it's about 52% of the master money's on the Broncos. So I think it is balanced where it really counts. People, I think, just generally betting the favorite here, but I'm going to have a crack at the Broncos and get them home this weekend.
Sounds good. And next we'll talk about Survivor. But Gabe, before we talk about Survivor, I've got a question from Phoenix Adam. He wants to know how long you're projecting the Grand Misio is going to last. How many more weeks?
Oh, Grandissimo. Honestly, since me and my guys got knocked out on that Arizona-Tennessee game, I've kind of like blocked the Grandisso out of my mind. It's just hard to want to analyze it without that guy dropping the ball on the goal line just popping in my head, right? But what is it? Like, it's 6 people. I think they are going to be on different teams for the next few weeks. Like, they're not all going to be on the same team. So if I had to guess, I think the Sunday after Thanksgiving is when it all blows up. But I don't have any numbers to back it up. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip on that one.
That sounds real good. Well, let's talk about the Survivor picks this week. And pretty much I can do the first pick alone because it's already in the clubhouse. That's the Patriots. Patriots were going away, the number 1 pick at VHP Proxy this week for the Survivor contest. And Adam, I know you also got a one in on the Thursday night game, which you're completely opposed to doing, but you've got yours in too. So the Patriots are home for the majority of my customers. So it's going to be a pretty good week, but we've got a couple The rest of the field is pretty well split out. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about the Patriots before we go to the next picks?
Well, it's worth saying that since you said most of your people was on them, and only half of the field had them, so you got a sharp group of people if they all save New England to destroy the Jets on Thursday night, maybe.
I believe I have a stronger group than the average, and I think it's significantly true because I'm pretty selective on who I get because I target a certain very smart group. So I think I have a pretty good one. And Adam, what did you think about that game? I know you were all over it. I was just surprised you didn't put more of your entries on it.
Well, I only had that one available. I did look at it, and I was even before again when I caught up with Matt on his show, and he's diehard Pats fan. I could see the number was running up. I had it available on one of my entries, and it was kind of, as much as I try to avoid that Thursday night game, I had to do it. So as soon as I got off that podcast, I messaged, I went straight to the Proxy site, put it straight in and let you know, because this is a tough week. Like, you look at all these things. I tossed a few different ones around, and I know we'll get into one of them shortly. Even Atlanta, I looked at one time and then thought, you know what? Panthers cost me last week on the stupid one that I didn't want to use last week. I'm not going to go against them this week. I know how that happens. Did it with the Bengals last year. Cardinals have tried to do it to me this year, being on that horrible Tennessee game and losing half my entries and then, going against them. So, definitely got out of that one. But what do we have on the first one on the list after the Pats?
Okay, it's a three-way tie. Everybody has scattered these picks across the board, so it's exactly what Gabe was telling you. People are going to be on different picks this week, so there's probably, I shouldn't say it, but I will say it, there should not be a big bloodbath unless a lot of bad things happen at once. But there's basically a three-way tie. We'll lead off with the first one I have on my list, the Green Bay Packers. Gabe, what do you think about that pick?
Ooh, I think it's a great spot. I mean, anyone who still has the Packers available, that's a rare thing in basically every Survivor contest. And the way I approach the game, I see the Lions -7. That's good enough for me on a rare, not really a widely available team. So, and as far as football, I'm a seller of the Giants. I don't think Jameis is going to save them all of a sudden. So I'm on the Packers this weekend in Survivor.
That sounds really good. And like I told you, I've got some pretty sharp guys, and there's been a few Packers held out. Adam, what do you think about the Packers pick?
Well, I was just about to call this one as the one that's the biggest chance to get upset and get the Giants home. I was looking at the charts. I know we're going to need the Giants. Right now there's on the spread, there's 61% of the money's on the Packers, but 98% of the master money's on the Giants at the spread. And then on the money line, we're looking at 90+% on the Packers, but on the master chart, it's only on the Giants. It's not a lot of money, but it's a tickle there. So, yeah, I thought this was a good spot to get rid of some people on the Giants, but Giants are horrible. I ran into them again with that Denver game and managed to escape. And then the next week, it just felt like they were going to, fall apart anyway. And, Packers are a good team. Giants aren't. I suspect that they'll get through. But these are the ones where I struggle to play, the away teams with these games. And then especially, although this is not one, the division games in some of these spots is really tough as well. But, yeah, right now the money's on the Giants from the Masters, but general public's all over the Packers.
I think there is something scary about Jameis playing, right, and just his play style. And it's not like I'm feeling the victory is secure. I know he can come out there and throw 4 touchdowns out of nowhere, I guess.
This is a super tough week. There's certain teams that you're either trying to save. Ravens. They seem like the one that you want, and I think it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. But there's one of those positions where you want to have the Ravens that week. I think they're playing the Bengals at home or something like that. But
so next week they're hosting the Jets, and then they host the Bengals. So back to back next couple weeks for the Baltimore.
right, so it's a spot where you could use him, but then there was a question with Jackson and whether he was there or not. It's just a tough week. I don't think you can really make a bad pick this week. It's really taking the chance on something and then crossing your fingers and hoping you're still there Sunday night or Monday night if you played on the Monday game.
I got you there. Let's since you brought up Baltimore is one of the three tied in this scatter shot Survivor weekend. Gabe, what are you thinking about that Baltimore pick this weekend? Not saving them for the next two.
Yeah, I think on the way I approach it, if there's a certain amount low enough, I think it's a cool play this week, but because I like doing those kind of less popular plays, maybe if you have a chance to scoop the entire field, but because so many people of New England got through, in my mind, I was thinking I'm going to save Baltimore, the powerful Baltimore, for later and try to pick one of these others. I'm kind of neutral in that play. It is weird, like Adam's saying, how those plays where it seems like okay, kind of either way how you look at it, it matters a lot what entry you have and how you're setting yourself up. So I don't have any Baltimore exposure. I'm definitely going to be a Browns fan this weekend, but not expecting much, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That reminds me of a debate that we've had at our first Tuesday meetings before about Survivor. Do you save the great teams that can't lose and fight early with the dogs that you need to win? Or do you play the favorites that can't lose early and then fight later with the dogs that have a chance of losing? That's the strategy, and no one agrees. Gabe, tell us the answer.
I play in a way that I strongly think you should be saving as much good stuff as you can, making yourself very powerful in the second half of the season when all the decisions are worth more and the good teams, no one else has them. So not only do you have the good team, but they're forced on the bad teams at the same time. I think if you're entering with the goal of making the money you put up worth the most on average over time, you got to be playing the set yourself up for the future game. But I get the mentality of wanting to use them early and then kind of just figuring the season out, surviving, buying yourself some time. But my gut says you really want to try to save them. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done, right? Yep. But that's what I think.
And I would love to have you at the first Tuesday meeting and let you present that side of the debate. Adam, I'm sure you'll take the opposite side. Let's hear what you got.
No, listen, I go back and forth on it all the time. I did actually use the Lions last week on one of the entries that I had just because I was like, you know what, get through this week, because I'd actually had them pegged for something later down the thing. So I threw some that maybe a little bit more risky, and then, but I'd done that. I think Minnesota, when they played in London against the Browns, was a low-hanging pick. There was a couple of others along the way that are probably dead now anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's a balance, and it's tough, and it depends on how many entries you have and where you're at, and whether you. I do it on my own, so I only have myself to answer to. I don't have to argue or debate with anyone else. I know others have different groups and conversations of what this looks like. Even today, I was sort of just driving along and in my mind thinking, when does the entry, if you get to a certain point, become valuable enough where you start having conversations of maybe carving pieces out or things like that? I mean, there's 1,000 left. I think it's, still a long ways off before any of those conversations or reselling positions and things like that happen. But yeah, this is a tough week, and I think this is a spot where you could play in Atlanta, or you could play, Eagles if you think they can get over the Lions, or Dallas against the Raiders, some of those things, or even go on the opposite, thinking Raiders will get over Dallas and some of those things. There's a lot of, I look at the future value of some of these teams, and you've got to use 20 out of the 32, and there's some, even when you get rid of 12 of them, that 15 to 20 spots, there's not a spot where they'll be favorite. So this will go to, so there'll be multiple people 20 and over. So you've got to get through the full 20. You're going to be carving it up or splitting. There might be opportunities at the end to, break out if you've forced into one of those dog positions and everyone else is on the other side. But yeah, you've got to save stuff. You can't blow it all on the front end, but there is also a balance of just surviving as well.
Yes. I want to add, I think also how you approach it, it matters what you think, like how you get your own edge in the game. I think you guys probably get your edge more on like football, like the football stuff, and knowing, maybe you're a little ahead of what the line should be or stuff like that. And I have zero like edge from that stuff. Like you guys are talking about where the sharp money is. Like I'm just looking at the odds and I use planning and some game theory and that's how I find my edge. But I know when people approach it differently, it's because they're leaning into what their strengths are. So that's one of the reasons I love Survivor. There's so many different ways to approach it. It's fun because everyone can bring their own like recipe kind of.
Yeah, well, I mean, to highlight that, that's a good point because I look at the Falcons chart and we're at like 81% of the money line bets are on the Falcons overall. 100% of the money line from sharps or masters or whatnot, whether they're arbors, bonus whores, originators, all that stuff, 100% of that's on the Panthers. So when I look at that, I'm like, hell no, I'm not going against that. Plus the house is going to need the Panthers. So it's kind of like just stay out of the way of certain things of that nature. So yeah, it's really that information that you have and how how you can sleep at night and you're okay to get to the Monday night and go, you know what? Like even people that picked Buffalo last week, if you had Buffalo left and they're going into Miami, divisional on the road, tough spot, you come out of that and you're like, oh, what was I meant to do? Like if you had it available, use it, you're expecting to get through, there's just, and you go back to even that Arizona-Tennessee game, like did everything perfect, just bounce of the ball kind of blew up half my entries. It's as long as you can sort of just, it's hard when you got to think it's another 12 months till I can enter this thing again. And that's, that's the challenge of it as well.
It's so funny that like, if we're trying to be sharp, we shouldn't think of stuff like that, right? Oh, we got to wait till next year, but it gets in your head, right? Like, I don't want to lose. I want to keep playing.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Well, Gabe, I've got to question you on this because Adam already told us the answer. He said this tournament's going to go all 20 weeks and have multiple winners. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yes, it's very likely to get the end. I think the rate, the like attrition rate is pretty average for this year if you compare it to all the years as far as how many get knocked out each week. I think I looked at it a few days ago, and this one was right in the middle of the pack. And all right, sorry, I just brought it up. Yeah, right in the middle of the pack compared to all the Circus Survivors. So I think the average in all these contests have been one victory per 1,500 entries, something like that. So what's that, like 12 winners, something like that? I think we're on track for about that. I don't have, I haven't like done the work, but if I had to set a line this second, I think I'd say 12 and a half. And, that's the best I got in this moment. What about you guys? You think more than that or less than that?
I always want to take the under.
Yeah, I thought there'd be at least double digits. So I think your number's about right. I think you look at it definitely. I think definitely 10 could be up to the 15. So the number's right there in the middle. I suspect it's if you get the full 20, you're looking at me and a half getting out of this. So you sort of there's that balance of how to attack it, knowing that you got to get through the 20. No matter what happens. Maybe it gets to Christmas. I mean, Christmas Day's tough this year. I think there's two decent games, and then backing into the Sunday of that week, maybe you sort of get one upset and could wipe out a big chunk of the field. But I think there'll be double digits there at the end.
One thing for Christmas, because so many people have both sides of that Dallas-Washington game, if the line is close to even, like we're going to have people on both sides of that. So it makes it so hard for the field to get down low. Like you can't get the fight down to two people. But hey, maybe, right? Maybe we got Thanksgiving bloodbath and Christmas bloodbath. Who knows?
I,
Yeah.
I'm in this. I'm in the single digits. I would take under, clear down to 9.5. I don't think we're going to have double digits, but this would be a great thing for us to argue in week 20 when we do this same broadcast. So, Gabe, I'll have to have you back on that week. That way you can rub it in my face when I'm wrong, or I can rub it in your face when I'm right.
No, let me do week 19. That way I can put a new line out and we can.
I'm booking my line now. We've got one more team to talk about, and let's talk about the Texans. What are we seeing on the Texans on this week, Gabe?
Oh, yeah. So earlier in the week, when I think they were -7.5, and we thought they were going to be very popular. They come down, Stroud's clearly out. Maybe something like 20-25% of the field is on them. My thinking is Pittsburgh's pretty close to their money line and might be a lot less popular. So from a game theory point of view, that might be a reason to get off Houston. But from a ball point of view, obviously Tennessee's the worst, but I'm just wary of this spot. I think these teams, like they played earlier in the season, it was a pretty close game until the end. This one in Tennessee, maybe it's different. I'm not excited to take this one, so avoided it.
Adam, what's the Masters talking about on this one?
Yeah, I'm in the same there, and I actually played Pittsburgh. That ended up being my second entry. When I kept going through this back and forth, looked at the Steelers, looked back at the previous game that they had that went back and forth, and the Bengals won right at the end. Just looked at the charts, looked at the numbers. Yeah, it's a little bit leaning on the Cincinnati side, but just of all the games and that, I ended up on Pittsburgh with my second pick. On the other one, it's 68% of the money's on the Titans, 75% of the master money's on the Titans. On the money line, it's 65% of the money's on the Texans, 62% of the master money's on the Titans. Yeah, while I was sort of picked out that hopefully the Giants took down the Packers, it's more likely that Titans take down the Texans in this spot. If there's one of these teams sort of going to get upset. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of spots where on the road, divisional, it could be a good spot where the Titans get up and take out another couple of hundred.
Yes, and as far as the Houston versus Pittsburgh, it seems better to save Houston in Survivor. Pittsburgh, nothing really exciting in the future, but the Week 16 having Houston to play Vegas, that might be a really sweet spot to have in your pocket. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like this is our top 4 this week. Usually we do a top 5, but since the way it was spread out, 4 made more sense. But Gabe, I wanted to give you a chance here to talk a little bit about Survivor Atlas. I know you're one of the stars at Bet Bash every year, doing seminars, which is always great to see everybody there at Bet Bash. But you want to give us the sell pitch, if you will, on using Survivor Atlas.
Sure. Thank you, Scott. So Survivor Atlas we bring these contests to life from the angle that we're not presenting any football knowledge. It's all just as many angles as possible about the getting ahead in Survivor that I use personally to win Circus Survivor in 2021. I've been playing Survivor for 10 years. I had my own kind of tools. And after winning it, which, we won, maybe it was luck, but like I have a pro gambling background. We use game theory the whole time. I don't have ball knowledge. Like that's not my skill. So all these tools are all the things I've come up with, and also our community has come up with over time to help them see what they want to see and find where their edge is. Everything we do is about helping players find their edge. We're not selling picks. We're not doing anything like that. We're helping people strap into the Survivor journey and as the Survivor run gets more intense, the stakes goes up, people find themselves staring at the stuff more and more. You want to get the decision right. And Survivor Atlas is just all that stuff, kind of a world just for all that stuff. Pure Survivor. We have this year we had 5 contests, the 2 in the Circa, the Super Contest, some Splash. And in the future, we hope to just have every Survivor contest in the world, helping people play, have fun, experience the magic of Survivor.
It's a great game, and everybody seems to just absolutely love this. So Everybody here that's listening today, you might want to check out Survivor Atlas if you haven't already done that. I don't know if you're using it or not, Adam, but I know of a few people that do use my proxy service that are big fans of it. And I'll even mention one of them by name, even though I didn't ask him permission. Phoenix Adam, I know, is a huge fan, and I believe he gets in on some of your spaces that you hold, right?
Oh, awesome! Yeah, the Survivor community, it's so cool because it's kind of like a death cult in a way. Everyone knows we're going to get knocked out. It's like, bad stuff is going to happen, but locking in with some people trying to work it out all season. Of course, people start dropping like flies, but it's fun every year. I can't get enough of Survivor every year.
I definitely like doing the Survivor work. It gets me involved and gets me to have some fun with it. But Adam, there's one more game that I really want to cover. Do we have time for that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's one college game. Actually, it's starting right now. Probably, I didn't hear if that Oklahoma game, I don't know if the Oklahoma game, how it finished, but it's probably the best game of the weekend. It's Georgia taking on Texas. And I'm seeing some huge movements on the board for this game. And I just wanted to know what side you were on, or what side the Masters were on, because I really like Georgia in this spot.
Yeah, so this was the one early in the week when I went over this. All the money was on Georgia. All the early money was on Georgia. But as I look into this now, we're looking at about 61% of the money is on Texas, yet 97% of the master money is on Georgia. And as I look at this, they're even coming harder now that the number's gone down to like 3.5, 4. They're all over it. Early on the week, they went 5.5, 5.5, 6 was all Georgia money by Masters up until Thursday when I did the Bostonian and the book show. Now, the most master money is at -3.5. Next is -4, and you've still got a bunch of money at 5, 5.5, 6. So this is actually one where the rec players are all over Texas. Like this is a Monday night football kind of figures we're getting on this right now. But all except 15K or something on Texas. But this is the Masters are all over Georgia. So if this was if we were doing a play of the day for Sunday, right now Georgia would be play of the day at 4 with the way this market's hanging around and the way that the master money is against the rec money here.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say about Georgia. I like Georgia in this spot. I don't see them getting beat, and I hope I don't eat those words next week. But and I've done it before. But I don't think you announced play of the day for NFL, did you?
No, and I was just going through the chart to try and see if there was anything popping out. The thing that pops out most likely is the Giants. Although we don't have really the rec money I'd like to see in this spot. It's currently about 61% on the Packers, but as you know, it's 96% on the Giants from the master side. So if I was, twisted arm, whatnot, I'd be saying the Giants is the one there. We'll get a lot more money overnight and then again in the morning, and I'll definitely do my show pre-kickoff in the morning, sort of 15, 20 minutes before the early games. And I think we've got a Spain game this week, right? The Commanders, Dolphins. I'll be up watching that one, and then about 15 minutes before. But right now, the Giants is the one that's leaning that direction.
Gotcha. Gabe, how about this? Do you have play of the day? You don't have to. You don't have to.
I do have a play. In my heart, the Miami Dolphins are going to smoke the Washington Commanders in Madrid. That's my play of the day. I clicked it a few hours ago, and I have no record or nothing to back up this as being a good play. That's what I'm going with this weekend.
Well, I hope you're right, because I think I used them in maybe 5, if not 4 of my millions ones. So it'd be good to get off to a good one early in the morning to try and either find my way in this third quarter or sneak my way up the leaderboard.
Do you find yourself, when they have Europe games, you have to take one just to kind of start the day off right with a side, or? I feel
Yeah,
like
it's definitely. I mean, maybe it's just the way it's worked out, but I've been, I think, pretty much heavily involved in every international game to this date. We had Atlanta big last week. Was our player of the day last week? Got up. We had Minnesota against the Browns. I think it was the Steelers when it was in Ireland. But yeah, it seems like when we do this show or whatnot, that one's popped up a fair bit as because the volumes come in early. People are really getting their bets in the night before, so you're seeing a bit more action on those international games than what you are the 10 a.m., 1 p.m. games. Right now, the book's fairly balanced. Slightly, the Commanders, it's probably 54% on them overall, 62% on the Dolphins. So nothing leaning that. But, yeah, when I saw that number, I thought, Miami minus the 2.5 is what I've started off a bunch of my millions this week.
Cool, man. We'll ride together.
Well, Gabe, you got to tell me. You and I are in Vegas together. What time are you getting up in the morning?
Ooh, probably about 6:29. I think I got to be there for kickoff.
Gosh.
But I'm not. I'm not worried. Sunday is the day off for Survivor because the picks are due today. I don't. Since I'm not betting, it's like my day of rest. So I just mosey on down right when the game starts. Why is that funny? When are you guys getting up at the crack of dawn or something, or what?
Well, first of all, the day off that Adam and I get, when the All-Star break is for baseball? It's the day before and the day after. That's our day off. I'll be getting up at 5:45 because I have to have everything straight because I run the tech support for Spot Odds. So I need to be available if anybody's having any problems there, making sure all the systems are going well and all that. Adam,
Right.
I don't know where in the world you're going to be. Right now, you're in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah,
Where
so right now I can roll out at 9 a.m. and I'm still 30 minutes early. So Vegas is a great time for night games. Everything's over early by 8, 9 o'clock, go out for dinner, whatnot. I struggle with the 10 a.m. Sunday. Hell no with the 6:30 Sunday. I wouldn't watch the game. I'd miss the game completely probably if I was in Vegas for these international games.
That's funny.
Boy, that disappoints me in you. Because I just told Gabe we only take 2 days off a year. And none of those were Christmas. None of those were Thanksgiving or your birthday. It's the day after and the day before the All-Star break in the Major League Baseball. That's it.
Yes. Scott, let's call him up at 6 o'clock in the morning or tomorrow and make sure he gets up early.
Well, if I just knew what country he's going to be in or what time zone, I think it could be a lot of fun. But I know he's in Eastern right now, but who knows in the morning. But Adam, I think we probably should wrap this one up. Gabe, it was a pleasure having you on. Hopefully we can talk you into coming back and doing this again with us. It's great having a Survivor Insider champion even on the podcast with us. So I appreciate that.
Hey, I appreciate you guys being so cool. Thank you guys.
All right. Thanks for coming on, and all the best to everyone tomorrow. Those in the Survivor still, good luck. Those just having a bet on the amount of stuff that goes on tomorrow. Yeah, cheers and all the best. Thanks, guys.
Go Big Red.